I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. Hey, what's going on, guys? Happy Wednesday. I have a friend with me tonight. What's going on, JB?
Hey, Sabby, so good to be with you on your program today. Hey, everybody in the chat.
All right, yes. Shout out to everybody watching on Rockfin and everyone watching on YouTube. Oh, and people watching on Twitter too. I forget sometimes I also stream to Twitter as well. Want to take a moment to shout out some people in the chat. What is going on, everyone? I see a couple comments here. What's going on, Arturo? Ashira Facts. That's why the real left has to take over. All right. Tell it like it is. Tell it like it is. What's going on, Tonya? Who's the friend? Friend is JB. Greetings, Laura Hanson. Have fun. Have a great show. Nice to see you. What's going on, Lawrence? Always a pleasure. I'm getting into the Sabby line. Already hit the like. Thank you so much. I forget to tell people that sometimes. So thank you for doing that. What's going on, Eric Thomas? He's a Sabby's member. Shout out to Eric. Greetings, Jean. Hello. How are you? What's going on, Matt? Hey, how's it going? Just going through the chat here. Jimmy Doors Garage. Pramila, the shit lib. Oh, dang. We haven't even started yet. Oh, man. What's going on, Shayar? Good evening to all Sabby Misfits. Hello, the Robert Escobar Show. Doobie doo. How are you? What is going on? And of course, always hello to Valerie. It's JB. All right. Welcome everybody to Sabby Sabs podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you are new, I want to let you know that Sabby Sabs podcast is a part of the Fred Hampton Leftist Network. You can catch me there on Thursdays for the Roundtable and Friday evening for the Sabby Show. So, JB, what's been going on, man?
Nothing. I had my dialysis treatment today, so I was feeling kind of out, but it wasn't as bad as some other days. Some days are good, some days are not so good. Um, but yeah, it's going all right today. But there is a lot going on in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, a lot of clown shit
Oh,
that's been going on. Um, and so we're gonna, you know, there's some things that I haven't even got a chance to truly react to yet. So this is gonna be really interesting.
yeah, I want to go ahead and tell you guys, like, usually I only do 3 stories, but tonight I'm doing 4. There were like 6 different things I wanted to talk about tonight.
Hmm.
And that's the hardest part I think about doing this sometimes is like choosing which stories you're going to talk about. And a lot came out last night and this morning, and I was just like, oh boy. No, Ashura, no. J no,
No,
JB, you want to explain?
no, no. I do not have cancer. I am on kidney dialysis. This is a chronic illness. I do have to because I suffer from chronic kidney failure. So I have to get dialysis 3 times a week, and today was one of those days. And so, um, yeah, so I have to do that. Um, I've done that every week, every every day, every other day for the last 14 years. So that's what I've been going through. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I said that. So I don't have cancer. It's a chronic disease, not a terminal disease. So, but thank you.
Thanks so much for addressing that, JB. Let's go ahead and get into what we're going to talk about tonight because some interesting things have happened while I was sleeping, apparently. So we are going to talk about Jayapal defends Biden. Oh, that was cringe. I can't wait to play that clip. Bush and Bowman, well, Corey Bush and Jamal Bowman, not invited. You can't sit with us like Mean Girls. I'll get into that. Netflix walkout. That happened today. And Bernie attacks Manchin. So something else happened between Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders. And I want to talk about that as well. JB, since you're the guest, you get to pick the first story.
That Bowman not invited is very interesting to start with.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into that. Let me stop sharing my screen. So this happened the other night, and I got to give a shout out to Adam Tofik, because I found out about this because of him. He tweeted this last night. I'm going to share my screen. All right, so here we go. All right, so Adam tweeted this last night, and he said, that's because Joe Biden and the DNC have no use for the Justice Dems, brand new caucus, outside of a few photo ops and for fundraising. Yet they'll continue to moor themselves to the DNC bandwagon for the bit of celebrity they'll get. So, what is he talking about? So, apparently, Jabal Bowman and Corey Bush went on CNN, and they were basically talking about not being invited to some of these discussions and some of these decisions that are being made. Basically, they are not given a seat at the table when it comes to Joe Biden. I'm going to play this clip, and I want to get your opinion on this, JB. I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic really quick.
Need help right now. I guess
Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders meeting behind closed doors yesterday. We know Joe Manchin met with Pramila Jayapal, who leads the Progressive Caucus. What's your take on these meetings?
having the meetings, great. Let's have the meetings. But also, what comes out of it? Are we bringing home climate action? That's the question. Are we bringing home free community college? Are we bringing home what we need for our care economy? Those investments that we need right now for our communities. The talks are great. Let's talk and act. Let's talk and move, because the clock is ticking. People need help right now.
So the president meeting today with a group of moderate Democrats and progressive Democrats. Are either of you going?
No, we haven't been invited to the meeting, and that's unfortunate because there have been multiple meetings, and neither myself nor Corey Bush or other members of the squad have been invited to any of these meetings. And it's unacceptable and it's frustrating. You know, when we talk about our districts, we center racial justice and racial equality. We center economic justice. She talks about St. Louis. Corey talks about St. Louis. I talk about the Bronx and Mount Vernon and Yonkers. So it's great to have these conversations, but we cannot cut resources from Black women, from Black people, from the Latino community, from the indigenous community, from our seniors. I hate that we continue to cut resources to our most vulnerable communities while continuing to respond to special interests and what they want us to do in Congress.
You haven't been part of these talks. Why do you think that is?
No, haven't been part of those talks. And, I think part of it is, first of all, we've been very, very clear and very vocal about what we want to see. But I think that there is something to be said about having people that have talked about being the people that they serve. I've talked about being unhoused. You've talked about issues where you have been had to be in. You were in a shootout before, in more than one shootout. We have lived the life that the people in our communities have lived, and very recently, that we're not very disconnected from it, like a year ago. And we are the folks that should be at those tables as well, because we're talking about investments for them. If you won't listen to the people, the regular everyday people in your communities, who are we representing? Our title is representative. So why don't we have people who are representing the broad vast of our country at those tables?
So Senator Manchin has outlined some of the things he's concerned about in the larger plan. He talks about the expansion of Medicare to include dental, vision, and hearing, new paid family and medical leave provisions, tuition-free community college, aggressive climate measures. He certainly wants to dial that back, Congressman.
Well, we're focused on bottom up economics, making sure we center the grassroots, making sure we center those who are most vulnerable. If we cut back Medicare expansion, we cut back on our seniors. We cut back on people who need health care. If you work in this country, if you work full time in this country, you should have access to quality health care, dental, optical, and hearing. The climate crisis is here. Hurricane Ida just destroyed New York and New Jersey. 50 people were killed. We got to go big on climate change. And obviously, we have to take care of our children. If we don't take care of our children, there is no future democracy. How are we going to negotiate and cut back on any of that?
And we talk about, people want to talk about the violence. Oh, the violence, crime is up, violence is up. But if you want to pull out the investment, we're talking about billions of dollars that will go into communities for violence intervention. Why are we, so we fuss about what we don't want to see, but then we won't fund what we know would help. So those are the things that we have to talk about. Our care economy, we don't want to make sure that mom has someone at home that can stay there to help take care of her while you go to work. We don't want to keep mom. We don't want to keep grandma in the home. No, we should do that. How are we taking care of our community members that are living disabled?
How do you reach a deal then, short of somehow just changing Joe Manchin's mind?
We keep doing what we've been doing. But you also have to, we have to reach those communities, to have those communities reach their legislators, because that's the thing. When people call our offices and say, from our districts, this is what we want. Now, I won't talk about, I can't talk about what happened with certain ones in their states, but in our districts, when they call us and say, no, I want you to vote this way, that's how we move.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you laugh when I said changing Joe Manchin's
mind? Joe Manchin and others like him have a certain perspective that I think is incorrect. He thinks investing in a bottom-up economy is entitlement. He claims he's worried about inflation. But I think we need to have a conversation about the special interests that support Joe Manchin and many others.
Yes.
And we need to understand that when we invest this way, it's better for the GDP and the economy going forward, but it's also better for our well-being. When you put money in people's pockets, they spend that money. It creates demand, which creates supply, which creates jobs. We have to make sure we're putting money in people's pockets and lifting them out of a global pandemic. Look at what we've gone through over the last 18 months.
You talk about the people.
I'm sorry, I can only take so much. I'm going to go to you, JB, but I want to shout out Colin for the super chat. Thanks so much, Colin. I can't take the squad seriously after Finney asked AOC why they didn't push for rent control, and she said their leadership wouldn't go for it. 100%, Colin. Thanks so much for the super chat. Did you catch when Cori Bush said, we vote the way that our district wants us to, our district tells us to? So is that why Jamal Bowman is voting present? I want to get your take on this, JB.
Okay, apparently not, because if that was the case, then they would have voted as a block, and they would have got concessions from Nancy Pelosi for things like Medicare for all and a $15 minimum wage, if that was the case. But obviously, that was a lie, because they didn't. So for them to go, oh, well, we do what our districts tell us, bullshit. Bullshit. Because if that was the case, you guys would actually be getting stuff done. And then here's another thing. They're talking about the special interests of Joe Manchin. What about the special interest of Joe Biden? See, here's the thing. They want to talk about working, using their power. They are popular, right? AOC, Pramila well, I don't know. Ilhan Omar. Oh my God, what's her name? What's the other one from Palestine?
Rashida Tlaib.
Rashida Tlaib. I'm sorry, dialysis. My brain is a little foggy, but they are more popular than Biden. Mm-hmm. They could use the bully pulpit to say, Biden doesn't want to do this. Biden doesn't want to do that. We're trying to help you guys out. Biden, I thought you said you were going to fight for the people. And they could use it, but they don't want to. And here's the thing. It's just like, it's almost like, you know, being friends with somebody, but they're not friends with you.
Bingo.
And it's like, oh my God, I'm your friend. And the person is like, no, you're not.
Mm-mm.
Go over there. Go over there. And they only use you when it's convenient. Back in July, there was an article that talked about how Joe Biden defanged the left. They literally got defanged. And they're still trying to do the okey doke, and they're still trying to play with the Democrats.
Yep.
Like, no, hold up. What was it that I said months ago on Twitter? I said during the campaign, I asked the question. I said, should Bernie go full scorched earth on during the primaries to get a win? And a lot of people were like, no, no, he can't because we have to go against Trump, and Bernie can't go scorched earth because it's going to damage and blah blah blah. The only way The only way I would have some semblance of respect for anybody in the squad is that they went scorched earth against Biden to the point
Yep.
where the Democrats would actually have to hate you and they would want
Yep.
to censure you. That's the only way. And then people would keep voting them back in because they see them actually fight. But the thing is, they don't. So guess
Yep.
what? I wouldn't be surprised if anyone in the squad actually lost an election
Yep.
because the thing is that people are sick and tired of them basically sheep herding into the Democratic Party. And so when you have Cory Bush and Jamal Bowman saying we weren't even invited, that's your cue.
Yep.
That's your cue. Them exit to the left, to the left. Everything you own in the box to the left. Come on. Like, what in the hell are you guys thinking? Do not stay where you're not wanted. Who does that? Who does
Mm-mm.
that? We're not telling you to walk away from the room. We're telling you to get up from that table, build your own goddamn table, and sit there and be like, hey, everybody else that actually wants things to happen, come sit at our table. And then next thing you know, boom, everybody will be there. And then they actually have to move to the left. Look, you guys could be independent or even go over to the Green Party. Or hell, you guys got millions of followers. Start doing some
Yep.
direct action and move them to the left from the outside. Work with the people on the outside. But they don't want to. They don't want to. Because in a couple of years, they're gonna get their pension. And in a couple of
Yep.
years, they're gonna have that name recognition so they can continue to keep getting voted in. So what's the point? It's like and Colin said, Afeni spoke to them,
Yep.
spoke to AOC, and they were like, but the leadership won't let us. Then make them do it. Make them do it. Why? Why are you so? But the leadership won't let us. I thought you were your own person.
Yep.
Like, did they vote for you to? Who voted for you to be in that district? Did the people vote for you, or did the leadership vote for you? Like, have some guts, have some cojones. Like, my God, and don't you dare! I don't you dare want to hear anybody like TYT, Kyle Kalinske, David Dole, Mike Figueroa. I don't want to hear any of them say, "Oh, but they're doing their best." No, the fuck they are. Because if they were doing their best, then the ideas that even we espoused would have been exhausted already. But they
Yep.
weren't. They weren't even touched. They weren't even considered. I'm telling
Preach, JB. Preach, JB.
I'm
Ty
tired.
G.
Look, I'm just tired. I'm physically tired, and then this just set me off because I'm just like, what in the hell is wrong with you?
Ty G
Like,
just said, I like this dude. Listen, let me tell you something. So
let me get a chicken nugget.
JB is right, you guys. JB is right. Like, if they're ignoring you, if they're not inviting you to these meetings, if they're not letting you sit at the table, that is your cue to get out. It kind of reminds me of that movie Mean Girls. I don't know how many of you guys have seen Mean Girls, but there's this part of the movie where like they're in the cafeteria during lunchtime and they're like, "You can't sit with us. You can't sit with
You
us."
can't sit with us. You're
On Wednesdays,
progressive.
that's what it
And
is.
you
It's like
can't do
Mean Girls.
it.
It is. It's like on Wednesdays we wear pink. That's what it's like. So if you don't fit into that mold, and obviously they don't, like she kept saying, she said, we represent the everyday people, but
Yeah.
you work in a place where the majority of your coworkers do not represent the everyday people. That is the problem with the people who tell us, let's get progressives in the Democratic Party and get them to do this hostile takeover that we said it was going to be. That is the problem. The reality is they are seriously outnumbered. Yes, they do represent the everyday people, but the people that they are working with do not. Joe Biden doesn't represent everyday people. Most of the senators, most of the congressmen and women do not represent everyday people. Most of them are rich. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. Regular Indies 40% plus of US Democrats and Republicans, both in 20s. If black people dim exited and regular as if black people dim exited and I think it's supposed to be in Republicans as Indy, we'd push Indy past 50%. Now we'd be ultimate swing vote, having leverage in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger Meadows. That is 100% true. So if I was Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman at this point, why are you still trying to beg them to let you sit at the table? They don't want you there. Pack up your shit and move on and start your own thing. You have the followers, like JB said. You guys know how many followers they have on Twitter? You know what kind of movement they could start?
You know, it's funny. Hold up. Let me do a little research. So I know, I know for a fact that AOC has 12 million Twitter followers. Um, Joe Biden on his regular account has 31.4 million, right? And then I think the presidential account, I forgot how many it has. Biden. Um, the POTUS account has 14.4. AOC has almost as many Twitter followers as the official presidential Twitter account. That's crazy. That means that you literally have a voice spread out to 12 million people. And you can say, because people like Joe Manchin are obeying the wishes of the special interests, then what we're going to do is we are going to fight against the special interests. I am going to call for us to have a general strike and then work towards that. And if AOC really actually did something like that, number one, it will get on the news.
Yep.
And just like Donald Trump said, as he proved, even negative publicity is still good publicity because it's publicity.
Yep.
So they would have been tackling AOC. That would have gotten the ears of a lot of people. And then a lot of people would have been like, you know what? She has a point. And then that would have started something.
Yep.
But the problem is that they still are propagandized themselves to believe Democrats good, Republican bad, and it's always going to be a team sport. And this is why they are losing. They are on a team that when they're picking the people to be on their team, they are not even picked. At least somebody like Bernie was the last person to be picked. They're like not even being picked. Have you ever been through that when kids are picking teams and they're picking and you're waiting and you're waiting and you trust me, I was the fat kid. I was always the last one. So you're waiting to be picked and then people just don't want to pick you. That's the exact same thing. Why are you still trying to play ball with people who don't want to play ball with you?
Thank you.
They do not like them, they do not respect them, and they're not even on the left, really. They are centrist according to the world standards. We are on the left. And so they won't even give them an inch. So why in the hell would you stay with them? It's honestly it's it's kind of crazy
Yep.
because if you, you're you're torturing yourself. It's torture. You're sitting there going, "Oh, why won't they play ball with us?" And the thing is that let's talk about policy. They're talking about, "Oh, we need to do climate policy." If they're so willing to leave out policy that would save our very lives, do you think they actually give a fuck about any of us? No, absolutely not. That's the case, then they need to go. You guys need to just
Yeah.
leave. And what's stopping you?
Oh, that's a good
What
question.
what's stopping them? There's nothing to stop it. What, they're gonna get bashed by the mainstream media? So what? They were getting bashed anyway. Who
Yeah, they
cares?
sure were.
Who cares? Oh, we're not gonna get a committee assignments. You ain't got no committee assignments. Look,
Mhm.
if they're going to treat you like this, then swing for the fence. Go hard or go home.
Sweep the
Like,
leg.
yeah, sweep the leg. Bob and weave. Do what you have to do to get look, look. You got the Green Party, you guys can go independent.
Yep.
And don't be like Bernie, my friend Joe. No, because they did exact same thing to him. Bernie still caucuses with a party that don't like him, that don't really listen to him. He's just
Mhm.
there to sheepdog people into the Democratic Party who are nominally on the left, just so that they can have more votes when it comes time for the primaries and the off elections and their general
Mhm.
election. That's it. So, yeah.
Shout out to Colin for the super chat. Also, didn't Afeni ask AOC why she goes to bat for Pelosi, a woman who hates her? Yep. Yep. Thanks so much for the super chat, Colin. Good point.
Yeah.
And Afeni also talked to AOC about like organizing. And AOC told her, you guys, if you want to see real change, you're gonna have to organize on the outside, which is what we've been doing. And every time we do it, they don't even talk about it. They pretend like it's not happening. If the organizing is not connected to electoral politics, they don't say anything about it. It has to be connected to a campaign. It has to be connected to an election. Other than that, they want nothing to do with it. So for her to even tell Afeni that, I'm just like, really? Are you kidding me? Are you serious right
Oh,
now?
oh no, yeah, she's hella serious. She's serious as a heart attack. You want to know why? Because she doesn't believe in the outside game. She never did. Because she actually did believe in it, she would actually talk about it, but she doesn't. The reason why she
Mhm.
doesn't talk about it because she doesn't believe in it. And if she actually believed in it, she would actually go to us and be like, "Look, I need you guys to do this, 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 and this. And if you guys can do this, then I can work on it from the inside." But she doesn't. She does not collaborate. She does not cooperate with anybody on the outside. It's all a game.
Yep.
She worked as an intern for Ted Kennedy.
Yep. And
What
Ted
makes you
Kennedy killed a woman,
she was an intern for a murderer.
basically.
What makes you think that she's actually going to, you know, actually work with us on the outside to get things done?
She's not. And Delthea Simmons has a good point here. She said if the squad wanted to, they could have hundreds of thousands on the National Mall in a matter of days, if not hours.
Yes.
Congress listens when real people show up. Just do it or go home. That's 100% true. Thanks so much, Delthea. She's a Sabby member. That's true. That's what we're trying to tell you, the influence that they have. the amount of people that they reach. Now, we talk about these things, but obviously we don't have as many followers as they do. I mean, we're trying to reach as many people as possible, but it is really frustrating when you have people who are supposedly on the left and they have all these followers and they're pretending like these issues are not existing. They're pretending like Joe Biden's doing a really good job. We've heard them say that multiple times. Multiple times we've heard them say that he's doing a good job. And I'm going to say this again, and I've said this before. Joe Biden does not care about Black people, period.
Yeah.
You got to be like, you're a Black person in Congress or the Senate. In order to get some type of respect or attention from Joe Biden, you got to be kissing his ass. You got to be like Jim Clyburn.
Yeah.
Joe
Look,
Biden's good job.
Turn and burn. Poppycock. You know, look, I have an analogy for you. And this goes back to Delphia Simmons. Thank you so much for that, because you just brought an analogy in my head. What the squad is doing right now is like they're sitting in a machine with a wrecking ball, and they jump out of the heavy machinery that has a wrecking ball, and they take a claw hammer and try to tap the wall to bring it down. You have a wrecking ball ready to just tear that wall down, and you walk up to it with a little, not even a metal claw hammer, one of them little toy rubber claw hammers that you give to babies, and it makes a squeaking sound. That's what you're doing. No effect, no damage. And you guys are talking about that you want to be at the table, and you literally have the power to force yourself at that table, but you don't do it. It means that you, squad, lack the political will to actually fight for the people. Because if you did, then you guys would utilize the people. That's where the power lies. And they don't want to do it, because that means that then they will lose their benefits from the capitalist party known as the Democrats. And it's the same. And it's the same thing with the other shitty ass fascist party. Same thing. Don't anybody who's new, who's watching Sabs right now, don't get it twisted. We do not give a shit about Republicans because we know they're shit. But the thing is, many people don't know that Democrats are shit. That's why we're talking about them.
They got to be like Miley Cyrus and come in like a wrecking ball. Remember I love that video. Shout out to Illustrative Carp. The largest voter block is independent and non-voters. There's your third party. Let's go get them and teach them.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's a good point.
And here's the thing: a lot of times, people put so much stock and focus on the national politics that they do not give any attention to local politics and politics in your counties.
Yep. If
you did that, then you can start a foundation along with doing tons of direct action.
Yep.
Look at people like Shama Sawant in Seattle. Like, she's doing some amazing things, and she's part of the PSL, Party for Socialism and Liberation. She's not part of the duopoly, and she can do that. And any one of you can also do that too, if you're so inclined to run for something local, like a city council or something like that. Hell, run for sheriff and dismantle the sheriff's department from the inside. Defund that shit.
Yeah. You know? You got to, that's what I tell people, local politics is important, guys. I don't want you to think that these positions like city council and mayor are not as significant. If anything, if you really want to create change, that's the way to go about doing it. Because once you get into Congress and Senate, it's a party game. It's a party game. It's all about you do what's best for the party. It's not so much about, even though they're saying we do what's best for our district. Do they really though? I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about what's best for the party. And this is the thing about the two-party system. That's why I said it's got to go. Because at the end of the day, they tell us that they're going to go in there and they're going to fight for people in the community. But if they fight for people in the community, how come our communities are not improving? They fight for corporations.
I I would love to see them, any one of them, do what Rome does just in their district.
No, they're not going to. They're not going to. Oh, how dare they? Would Nancy Pelosi approve of that?
They could do a shit ton of good.
Mm-hmm.
Give me $178,000 per year with pension and great health care, and let me just be able to do a tour for the poor in my district. Like, come on. Hell,
Mm-hmm.
this this is crazy.
It
And
just
then
is.
I'm sorry, it's just that it's like, you know how people in the United States talk about, oh, we're Americans, we got that can-do spirit, we can do anything because we're Americans, right? Why not apply that to leftism?
I mean, we have to look at the fact that we do have people winning in this country in local elections that are
Yeah,
not Democrat or Republican.
true.
India
Yeah.
Walton in Buffalo, she's a socialist.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Carter won in Virginia. He's not in office anymore, from what I believe, but
Yeah.
he won in Virginia as a socialist.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea that in order to win, you have to be one of the two, that's not necessarily true. So maybe start with like local politics and not have your eyes so much on going into the House or going into the Senate, because we're just going to continue to be disappointed. I wonder if Cori Bush is wondering right now, like, hey, maybe I was better off where I was locally, helping out people in my community than trying to do it through the House.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I would be thinking right now. I just feel like it's such a disappointment. I don't know. Jamal Bowman, I feel like he's just too nice. He's too nice. Like, just
Trust
too
me,
like.
I'm too nice. But the thing is that he does not set boundaries for himself. Some of us people who classify as too nice, and I classify myself as that, because I tend to, you know it's hard for me to say no.
Mhm.
You have to learn how to say no in defense of other people, and that's what being a good representative is. So he could do it in a nice way and say, look, guys, I like you all. You guys are very nice people, but I will not vote for this bill unless it has these things in it because it means so much to my district and the rest of the country. And you just leave it at that and say it in a very nice way. You can even smile like Joel Osteen does all the time
Oh my
and just
God.
do it that way and just say it with a smile. I can say fuck you and a smile, and it seems more nicer, doesn't it?
Oh my
Right?
God, JB, not Joel Osteen. No, you
Yeah,
did it.
yeah. If I'm gonna shit on somebody, it's gonna be some rich prick who takes money from people, in the name of religion. A goddamn right, I'm actually gonna shit on him. But what is he? And is he any different from any other politician? No. But
Mm-mm.
um, but so he could just do it in a nice way. But he can still do, just because you fight for people doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it in a mean way. You can still do it in a nice way and let your no mean
Exactly.
no.
Exactly. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. Reg is short for registered.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Thanks, Roger. Thanks so much for the super
Yeah,
chat.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
that,
just I just can't. It's like, and of course, like the two black members, or two of them. Ayanna Presley wasn't on there, but I don't know. I wonder if she's getting, invites to these meetings as well, because for the most part, she kind of sits in that they don't give her as much attention as they do some of the other members on the squad. But it's just like you have two black people, black progressives on CNN saying that, listen, we're not being invited to these meetings. They're leaving us out. It's just like, again, so for people who are still telling us, like, yes, we must do it through Justice Democrats, we must do it this way, infiltrate the Democratic Party and take it over. Not taking over, is it? Not working, is it?
kind of hard to infiltrate something if you don't do shit about it.
Impossibly Black said a lot of Black people have been propagandized into believing that an abusive relationship with the Dems is the best we can get. And that's true.
It is an abusive relationship, and it's time we wised up and got out.
Got to stop going back, man. Got to stop going back.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump into the second story.
Cool.
This one is about Pramila Jayapal.
Oh boy.
So I saw this last night on Twitter, and this wasn't really a press conference, but they were interviewing her. And so let me go ahead and share my screen. Some of you may have heard about this. When I saw this last night, I was like, somebody just punch me in the face right now. All right, here we go. Representative Jayapal, after meeting with Biden on massive spending package, the president is the inspirer, he is the closer, he is the convincer, the mediator in chief. He's really doing a phenomenal job. You don't have to hear it from me. I'm going to mute my mic and I'm going to play the video. So get ready to laugh, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready to laugh.
Sir, he's abilities on the table, some of which might be in the bill, some of which may not be. And so we just need to continue to look at the final agreement around that, because I don't think there is a final agreement there, but we're hopeful that we're going to get to a significant investment in climate.
How would you describe what's going on right now? Is he the closer, and did he talk to you about any deadlines that he wants if it's not October 31st, which of course the House Speaker has said?
The president is the inspirer. He is the closer. He is the convincer. The mediator in chief. He really is doing a phenomenal job. I mean, I think we're trying to get this, trying to get to a real close as quickly as possible.
What's the likelihood you'll reach a deadline? Is he frustrated with what's going on? Is he taking a tougher stance? Is he basically saying, get this done?
The president has been nothing but respectful of all that we're trying to accomplish, all that he's trying to accomplish in his Build Back Better agenda. And these conversations have been really great. They're really conversational. Others should say how they feel about this, but really conversational, really important listening sessions for him to hear from our members and for us to hear from him.
Conversational listening sessions. How lovely.
Did you catch? Hold on, let me shout out Roger Meadows. Thanks so much, Roger, for the super chat. Third party in New York State launched lawsuit to reverse Cuomo taking thirds off the ballot. So we have no third parties for AOC and Bowman to join. We must win the lawsuit. Dang, I did not know that. I did not know that. Thanks for letting us know about that, Roger. That's a hot mess. So hopefully you guys win that lawsuit, because that's ridiculous. But JB, how
Sabby.
do you feel about Jayapal's remarks?
Savvy.
I swear there's
Okay.
nothing in this cup but tea.
I think we need it to be something else. You know what I'm saying? Because I need something right now. Okay, so I haven't smelt that much bullshit since I've been on the farm. So yeah, Jayapal, she was just shoveling that bullshit, just shoveling it, going at, he's the inspirer, he's the closer, he's the best. Hail Caesar, like King of Rome, ruler of the world. Y'all saw History of the World Part 1, right? That was Jayapal. I mean, she not only kissed his ass, she put on some Burt's Bees and kissed that ass. I'm telling you right now. Like, are you kidding me right now? Wasn't it $6 trillion a couple of weeks ago? What, closer? I'm sorry. I thought this way. I was the president. I thought he would. I thought he had the bully pulpit so he can make demands. Oh, but he's the closer in chief. If I closed like Joe Biden when I was in sales, I would have got fired the same day.
Ooh.
My boss would have been like, "Who the hell? What the hell? You have shit instincts about negotiating. Like, who in the hell? Who in the world is she talking about? Has
If-
she seen Joe Biden? And here's the funny thing, and she knows this. She's talking about a Republican and Democrat face.
Oh.
That's what she's talking about. He's the closer. He's an inspirer. Look, if you want to talk about how inspiring he is, talk to Tara Reid. Did he inspire her? Give me a
Preach,
break.
JB.
Give me a break. And the thing is that this is all for the cameras. It's all for the cameras. That's all it is. How does she really think about Joe Biden in the background? Does she actually agree with him? I actually would probably say yes, that she probably does agree with him, which means that she's no more a right winger than he is. If that's the case, I mean, if you're going to praise him about all this stuff, then you might as well just be a right winger too.
The other thing too that was really interesting to me, if you ever start hearing people say things like, "It was a great conversation," that means they have nothing else to say. If Joe Biden is a great closer and they're already talking about taking climate off, they're already talking about taking Medicare for all off, or excuse me, expanding Medicare in this country, that's not a good closer. If this was a baseball team, I would not want Biden to close for me.
I wouldn't want him to open for me.
No, he'd mess it up. He'd come in last minute and we'd lose the game. So the point that I want to make very clear here is it's very obvious to me. I don't even think Pramila Jayapal believed what she was saying herself. It just came across as really fake to me. It didn't seem real. It felt like, well, let me just go out here and simp for Joe Biden. Let me just go out here in front of these cameras and just convince the public that Joe Biden's doing a good job. Not even a good job. She said phenomenal.
That was a negotiating tactic, by the way. That wasn't to us. That wasn't even to the press. That was to Joe Biden. That was like, see, I do like licking your boots, Mr. President. I'll do it in front of everybody. That's what it was. It wasn't to us. It was to stroke his ego. That's what it was. And guess what? When they were in that meeting, they said, "Mr. President, we need this." He's like, "Oh no, I think we just need to go more in line with what the Republicans want, because the Republicans, we have to meet them halfway." Okay. They bent over backwards as soon as he put any pushback. That's pretty much what it was.
Yep. And
It
she
was
said,
spineless.
she also said too that he's being respectful to them. He respects them. But if he respects them, then why is Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman? Keep in mind, this happening at the same day. Why is Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman over here on CNN saying that they're being left out and they're not invited to these meetings and their voices need to be heard? If
Can you
he
do me a
respects
favor?
them so much.
Do me a favor. Put that video back up on the screen again.
Which one?
The Jayapal one.
Jayapal? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Let me shout out Delthea real quick.
Yeah.
Thanks, Delthea, for the super chat. And nearly every Southern lady's bless your heart is an NYCFU. So to the CODIS, bless your heart. Repeatedly. I love that. Thanks so much, Delthea. Let me put it back up.
Yeah, I want to make an observation really quick.
Watch her face. Watch her facial expressions when she's speaking.
Mm-hmm. Can you play it just with the sound off, so
just
we can
with the sound
commentate
off?
over it? Yeah, with the sound off, and we can commentate over it. Because I'm gonna make an observation.
Hold on.
Sorry, I didn't want to make you do all this extra work, but
let me do. Okay. Can I play it with the? Oh, I am playing it, but I'm not sharing my screen. See, guys, this is why we need someone to come in and do this for us. Let me try this again.
Yeah.
Someone do this on the back end because gosh knows. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Me and the little laptop is just trucking along here. All right. Let me see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. All right. So you notice how you have Barbara Lee, right?
Yep.
You have a couple of black members behind her, right? Um, how many other black people are around outside of the camera frame? Number one, that's my question.
Mm.
Number two, right? Um, I love how they're just how they just zoomed in a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And so also I want you to notice how they're all just with the okey doke. They're just standing behind her, not much else to say. And it's like, what are you serious about the people? Or are you just standing here because you can't wait for those benefits to kick in? Like, that's what I'm wondering.
We can't see their facial expressions at all.
No, you can't. And even then, even if we could, uh, do they realize that Joe Biden actually doesn't like them?
It's all a game. It is all a game. Like, I mean, it's you could tell like even by like her facial expressions, she just looks like she's lying. And like she knows that she's lying. This is one of those moments where I wish I had one of those the body language therapists come on.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You've seen
yeah.
those before when they do it during the debates or after the debates and they just talk about their body language.
Yeah, we can get the same one that Joy Reid had on when she was discussing Bernie.
Mm. Mm. What's up, Quaker Socialist?
Mm-hmm.
Quaker Socialist said there is no way you get to be that close without being an okey doke person. That is so true.
She's just being a yes man.
That is so true.
Yeah.
It's just I just don't understand how she can come out there and say that he has been nothing but respectful to them. And like I said, same day you got Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman over there on CNN saying that they're being left out, they're not invited, they're being excluded.
So much for respect.
Phenomenal Mysticism said we live in a cartoon or some fictional TV show. Like sometimes I think this is all an episode of the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
A long ass Twilight Zone episode. And any minute, Ron Sterling's going to pop up and say, "You're entering the fifth dimension." Come on, Ron. Like somebody pop up and tell me that any minute.
I feel like we're in an episode of House of Cards, and
Oh.
Joe Biden is Frank Underwood.
No. I could see that. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just a Frank Underwood.
Shout out Christina for the super chat. She keeps blinking, which means she's lying or nervous. I blink a lot when I'm nervous. But yeah, I get you.
Pramela, blink twice. if Joe Biden is trying to screw over the American people.
Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, let's get into the third story, which is the Netflix walkout. So this happened today. And this was trending on Twitter. And I was glad I caught this in time because I was at work and I was like, wait a minute, what is going on? Something is happening over at the Netflix. I don't know why I just called it that. It's just Netflix. But this is in response to Dave Chappelle's most recent show on Netflix. So here we go. Protesters denounce Netflix over Chappelle transgender comments. Let me scroll down. About 100 people, make this a little bit bigger for the people in the back. All right. About 100 people protested near Netflix headquarters on Wednesday against the streaming pioneer's decision to release comedian Dave Chappelle's new special, which they say ridicules transgender people. Netflix staff members, transgender rights advocates, and public officials gathered on the sidewalk outside a Netflix office, blocks away from the company's main 13-story Sunset Boulevard building in LA. Demonstrators held signs proclaiming Trans Lives Matter, Team Trans, and chanted slogans like, "What do we want? Accountability. When do we want it? Now." Netflix staff were outnumbered by members of the public, but the precise number was not clear. Netflix employees had called for a walkout. Chief Content Officer said, "I screwed up," in how he spoke to Netflix staff about Chappelle's special, The Closer. Sarandos previously defended the decision to air the show, saying Chappelle's language did not cross the line into inciting violence. Netflix posted recorder subscriber numbers on Tuesday. Here are some of the pictures here of the walkout outside. There's a guy here with a sign that says "Hate isn't funny." There's a crowd here. And there's people here with signs as well. And then there's Dave Chappelle. I don't know why they put that one in there, but that's that. And then it goes down here and it says, "While we appreciate the acknowledgement of the screw up," in his own words, "we want to actually talk about what that repair looks like." And that came from one of the activists. And Joey Soloway, the creator of Transparent, a now ended streaming series on rival Amazon that had a transgender character, talked about the line that separates edgy jokes and harmful speech. "People say to me as a comedian, where's the line? The line is anything that makes it worse." Not everyone supported that message. The idea that a small angry mob can shape entertainment and silence people's speech is terrifying, says counter protester Dick Masterson. I'm gonna go down here. The controversy over The Closer is playing out against the backdrop of a company-wide diversity effort that began in 2018 after Netflix former head of communications was fired for using a racial epithet in company meetings. Oh, how about that now? Let me pop out. Oh my God. So I did see the Dave Chappelle special. I haven't talked about it on here yet. I wanted to be careful of how I talked about it, and also want to be considerate of other people's feelings. I do see both sides of this. And JB, I want to get your opinion as well. I didn't feel like at the time, I'm not a member of the LGBTQ community. And I thought it would be better for you guys to hear from someone who is a part of that community, not just from me. Because to be honest with you, as a straight woman, I don't know what that feels like. So, JB, what's your take on this? Well, first and foremost, I will say they have the right to walk out. Just point period. Like I said, and more people need to be doing this. You guys see people striking all across this country. South Korea just started a general strike today. And I think it's millions of people, by the way, the last time I saw. So people have the right to walk off their jobs if they're not happy with what's going on and they've already complained about it and things have not been changed. But JB, I want to get your take on this as well. How do you feel about it? Do you feel Dave Chappelle went too far? Do you feel that this may be exaggerated? How do you feel?
I'm not trans. I defer the feelings to those in the trans community because how they feel matters more than my feelings. And so people have the right to walk out, and people have a right to express their disdain for what he said. Now, if they want to do, a boycott or something like that, then that's fine. That's within their power. Um, but we have to get to a point where we ask, um, was, you know, is, you know, in the context of what Dave Chappelle said, was it just comedy or does it cross the line into actually hating someone? And a good question to be asked is, if Dave Chappelle was white and he was talking about black people and he did jokes of that caliber to black people, then how would the black community respond? Would we be reacting the same way, and would we have the same national effect? Um, I don't know exactly at this moment, but I think that there needs to be, you know, care, and I'm trying to measure my responses in a respectful way because
Mm,
um, I have a lot of respect for the trans community. There's some strong people because
mm,
trans people go through so much, especially the black trans community. They go through a lot, and I stand with them. You know, um, it's a tough conversation, but at the same time, it's a conversation that needs to be had. I just I want I want us to have more clarity, uh, and I want the trans community to lead this conversation,
mm,
and I want people to listen to trans people more regarding this, because they've been uh, put on the back burner for so long.
mm-hmm.
We gays have been in the forefront basically since Stonewall. We have been the main focus, and I think those of us in the gay community, yeah, we still go through stuff, but it's time to, you know, assist our trans brothers and sisters to be in the forefront so that they can get more attention regarding acceptance and being valued and being respected in the in the worldwide community. So, I mean, that's basically what I have to say for the most part. Um,
Yeah, no, well said, JB. I know I feel the same. Like I wanted to talk about this when it happened, but then again, at the same time, like I just felt
yeah.
like again, I don't have the lived experience. Um, one thing I will say, it does seem like every year there's this call to cancel Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Um, I've noticed this. This happens on Twitter often. And I do want to say that some of the things that some of the comedians, like when I was like little and before I was born, when I was little, I remember my mom and like my parents, they used to watch this comedian named Andrew Dice Clay.
Hmm.
And every time they were about to watch him, they would tell me it was time for me to go to bed.
Hmm.
So that meant it was something I was not supposed to see or not for my appropriate for my age. And when I got older, I did see some of Andrew Dice Clay's stand up, and they were trying to cancel him back then. And I wonder, would Andrew Dice Clay be able to say those things today? Because he made comments about black people. George Carlin, same thing.
Hmm.
Um, I think about some of the things that Richard Pryor's comedy,
Hmm.
which like today, would Richard Pryor be able to do that? Eddie Murphy's Raw, would they be able to do? So I think that
But
what I want to say about this is I think that I feel like there is this big like cancel culture, and the advice that I would give, instead of canceling that person, educate that person.
But here's the funny thing: cancel culture has existed for hundreds of years. It's just people don't have as much of a voice that reaches across as they used to.
Mm.
There would be, groups of people, outside of a comedy, a comedian's, show protesting. I'm pretty sure it happened to Richard Pryor, people like Andrew Dice Clay, all these different comedians. Probably
Mhm.
happened to Eddie Murphy, probably happened to Chris Rock, where they literally stood outside and they were protesting. Um, but they just didn't have a Twitter account. They didn't have a Facebook account.
It's a lot different now with social media.
And so people are more vocal about voicing their opinions than back then. So, and so, and word travels faster in this digital age. Um, and so that's one of the reasons why. So, look, talking about cancel culture, was it Etta James? She was about to be canceled until Marilyn Monroe said, "Hey, I will be here for every single show. If you, I think it was the Copacabana. If you put on Etta James, I will sit front row." And so that was the way that she went around the canceling of people. I think it was Etta James. I think. Um, so correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, please. But people have been, it's not really a cancel culture. It's not something new. People have
Mhm.
been doing that for years. But my thing is that um Dave Chappelle is not really going to get canceled. I'm speaking about the reality of the situation. He's not going to get
Mhm.
canceled. The people who really do get canceled are a lot of trans people. They get canceled. People like Edward Snowden got canceled. People like Fred Hampton got canceled.
Yep.
Palestinians are getting canceled. Lots of immigrants are getting canceled. Black people every day get canceled.
Mhm.
So when it, and look at what Donald Trump did last year. Donald Trump, he uh, he basically made it so that trans people couldn't serve in the military. Now,
Mhm.
I am anti-imperialist and I do not like the military whatsoever. But at the same time, you know, what Donald Trump did has more of a direct effect on trans people, especially ones who serve in the military,
Mhm.
than, what someone says, unfortunately. Um, Now, do we have to be careful? Yes. And the thing is that freedom of speech means that um, you're not shielded from the consequences of your speech from the general public. And if the general public feels a certain way, then that's how they feel. Um, but yeah, there's so many people have been canceled way more than Dave Chappelle will ever be.
Mm.
And I'm just prepping everybody by saying that people are, wanting him to cancel this, but technically talking about this actually makes it more popular.
That's a
And
good point.
it's counterintuitive. And
That's a
so
good
it's kind of
point.
like, I don't know if y'all want to talk about this. It's like if you guys really wanted to speak out, then then use your dollars. I mean, then and maybe that'll have an effect. But other than that, unless it talks money, just
Mm.
just speaking out against it isn't really going to do anything. Because Dave Chappelle is going to double down, and he's not going to back from this.
And
He's
he's
just
rich.
not, and he's rich.
And he's rich. So it's a really good point. Thanks so much for that, JB. Shout out to Christina for the super chat. I'm very pro LBGT community. They have a right to walk out and protest. They do not have a right to ban free speech. And that is an interesting point there, Christina, because that leads us into this whole free speech thing, like concept, because this is where the waters can get kind of murky, right? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm, for free speech. And this is really tough. Like this is really tough for me because I am 100% free speech. At the same time, I understand people being offended and their feelings being hurt and them not feeling respected as well. Where is that line? Like, how do we fix that? How do we not like overstep that? And what can be done? So again, I think a lot of it comes back to educating people instead of canceling people. And Greg said people pretend that cancel culture only exists within the woke left. How was Colin Kaepernick not canceled by the right? Oh, I didn't think
Yeah.
about that. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Think about how Elvis was canceled.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. The right, they canceled Elvis. They canceled so many people.
Oh Lord.
So the thing is that this thing is not new. It's been happening for so long. It's just people got a Twitter now. That's all. That's all it is.
Elvis's songs weren't even his own.
No, he actually stole a lot of stuff from people like Chuck Berry and Little Richard.
Big
Um,
Mama Thornton.
Big Mama Thornton. Yeah. So he actually stole a lot of. So I mean, it's actually kind of right that he got canceled. They tried to cancel him, but they couldn't. But yeah, so he stole a lot of his stuff. But yeah,
Oh, Delthea said the right canceled the Beatles.
for what?
Yo, the Beatles had like so many different like phases throughout their career because they had like the boy band kind of image
Hmm.
in the beginning. Then they went through this period where they were like their psychedelic
Hmm.
kind of phase and they were like Lucy in the Sky with diamonds and shit. And
Hmm.
then they get to like
Oh my god.
CJB, this is why when we do we do shows together. I'm sorry. And then they had that moment where they had a coming to Jesus and they were like Mother Mary and all that stuff. And then people was like, let's split up, let's do our own thing. And they kind of went on their own. But they had a lot of different phases. I'm like, come on now, you didn't find one of those phases that you liked. Just one. Come on, there was a phase for everybody. Come on. Just one. Just one.
Hmm.
Shout out to Richard Coates for the super chat. No Red Sox. I was watching it before I jumped on the stream. I was not happy with what I was seeing. Don't tell me the score. But thanks so much for the super chat. Yeah, so Greg says the Beatles were pretty left. Yeah, I guess I can see that. But
Yeah,
man.
the left always gets canceled anyway.
Yeah.
We always do. I mean, you know, just ask McCarthy. He was the biggest canceller of the left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Greg says they're losing back. Why you tell me? I told you those things. I wanted to be surprised or something when I got off the stream. Don't tell me. Shout out to Blue Moon Red Wine. Imagine if they canceled vulgarity in hip hop songs as much as they cancel comedians. LOL. But they tried to. They
Yeah.
tried to do that with Snoop. Remember, Congress came
Mhm.
after Snoop. They came after Eminem, and
They
that
can't.
actually just made people go out and buy their albums more.
Yeah. They also went after. Oh my God. The group is blanking on me, but um they did. I think it was Me So Horny. I think that was the song they did.
Two Live Crew.
Two Live Crew. Yeah. Yeah. They literally had like congressional hearings about Two Live Crew.
They did, you guys. Like they had a song called "Pop That." Can I say it on here?
And we'll censor it because I don't want you to get demonetized. But
Oh, okay. Well, it
Mhm.
rhymes with Poochie, but they had this
Got
song called "Pop That." And the
Mhm.
girls were in the never mind. Let me stop.
Next thing you know, me and Sabby are both on live stream dancing to it and twerking on video.
That was before twerking was like popular.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so there's a lot. Like for instance, look at Little Nas X.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, that that stripper pole going down. I ain't gonna lie, I watched that shit a few times. I was like, hey, what's going on? Call me what you want. But but so there has to be a balance, and where that line lies, I don't have the intellectual wherewithal to say. Um, and so I wish I did, but I don't. So it's just
Mm,
we're trying to navigate this human experience, and you know you have people on different sides that are saying we want to be respected and we want to be seen as human beings, and then some people are joking about it, but sometimes it could be seen as a mean-spirited way, and then sometimes it could be mean as just in a jovial way, but sometimes we can't tell, or sometimes we can tell and people aren't listening. There's just so much, so
mhm.
it's hard to decipher, and the best course to me is just being on the side of the oppressed. That's the best course I can take on this. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well said, JB. Matt, thanks for the super chat. He said, "Did y'all see the bad faith breakdown of the Dave special?" I haven't watched that
I
yet.
did not.
That's on my list to check out. But thanks so much for the super chat,
I
Matt.
haven't saw it neither.
I got one more story. One more story.
One more.
All right. So Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin have been going at it back and forth. And Bernie did something
Really?
that is kind of like he kind of stepped into Joe Manchin's own backyard. So Bernie
Oh,
Sanders
really?
shows, oh yeah, listen to this. Bernie Sanders shows Democrats how to deal with Joe Manchin.
Mm.
Listen to this. In a
There
Sunday,
was no mention, you say.
I know. In a Sunday opinion piece, Sanders reminds West Virginians that their senator is blocking Medicare expansion and policies that lift children out of poverty. Let me scoot down here. I'm trying to get straight to the point here. Here we go. Sanders wrote an opinion piece for the Sunday edition of the Charleston Gazette Mail, the daily newspaper in West Virginia's capital city, which by Monday morning was the top trending piece on the paper's website. In it, he argued for the plan that is backed by President Biden and the vast majority of congressional Democrats as essential legislation that would benefit West Virginians. So he said here, as where did I go? Oh, here we go. The Build Back Better plan is not only vital important for seniors, but it is enormously important for working families and their children. As a result of the $300 direct payments to working class parents, which began in the American Rescue Plan, okay, we have cut childhood poverty in our country by half. Oh my God.
Right.
Black in the Empire was just talking about Black in the Empire. He was on FHL. We did a Generation X panel, and Black in the Empire said that the Democrats are trying to cut child poverty by only half. It was really funny. That's not something to brag about. That's the point I
No.
want to make here. That's
Mm-mm.
not something to brag about.
Uh-uh.
Anyway, getting down to what he said in the letter. Scooting down. Well, I think I pretty much told you guys what he said, like in the letter. Yeah, so this is a long article and I don't want to go through all of it. So let me pop out. But basically, long story short, he wrote an opinion piece in a West Virginia paper and basically was talking about telling West Virginians what Joe Manchin was doing in reference to blocking that legislation, blocking them and preventing them from getting Medicare expansion and I believe part of that child tax credit as well. Now, what's really funny about this, though, is that I don't know. Again, I still feel like a lot of this is theater.
Yep.
But Fox News said something about this, and I want you guys to hear this because they brought this up, but they left out a very key component. And I talked to you guys about this last night. I told you how a lot of times with mainstream media, they leave out key points that are important for people to know. And if people knew those key points, it may change their mind on how they feel about the matter. So I'm going to share my screen. And I want you guys to start thinking about West Virginia and Bernie Sanders and how he did there. So check this out. Let me start this from the beginning.
It's interesting that they continue to go to West Virginia, Trey. The vice president was there on television once trying to. It's interesting that they continue to go to West Virginia, Trey. The vice president was there on television once trying to pressure Joe Manchin. This is an op-ed trying to pressure Joe Manchin. I don't think pressure from the left in West Virginia is the way to go.
You know, Brett, what I think would be great is if Bernie Sanders went to West Virginia. Somebody can show him how to get there. Don't write an op-ed. Actually go convince a state where Joe Biden won that many counties. I mean, how do you think Bernie Sanders is going to do? I mean, the moderate guy won 0 counties. How do you think the socialists will do in West Virginia?
He won every county.
Saying that they continue to go to West Virginia, Trey. The vice president was there on television once trying to pressure Joe Manchin. This is an op-ed trying to pressure.
Trey Gowdy is an idiot because Bernie Sanders actually won every single county in West Virginia.
See what I was telling you guys last night? How a lot of times mainstream media, they leave out key points. And if you don't know those key points, it can really affect how you feel about the matter. What did they just leave out? JB just told you. JB just told you. Now, again, not saying like Bernie's doing this great job here. I'm still disappointed with Bernie. I don't know if this tactic is going to work. But I do think that talking to people in West Virginia, like I don't think writing an op-ed was the best way to go. I think if you're going to talk to people in West Virginia, you need to go there and talk to them in person.
Yep.
I think that would have been the better way to do it, not to write an opinion piece. People want to see you face to face.
I'm not going to read some local newspaper.
I wouldn't have even taken the time to read it. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you really want to get across to the people and get through to the people there in West Virginia, you should have went and talked to them in person. That's how you do it. Go door to door.
That was half-assed at best. Look, if Bernie really wanted to, number one, he would have one, still wrote that opinion piece. 2, took his ass down there to West Virginia to campaign against Joe Biden. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Freudian slip, sorry, Manchin. 3, he also should have put out a tweet about it. 4, he also would have called a press conference and said Joe Manchin by name and spoke out against him. And if he would have did those 4 things,
yep,
then it would have been, oh snap, he's going after Joe Manchin. But all he did was take a piece of paper, slid it under the door, be like, here,
yep,
that's my opinion about what Joe Manchin is doing. All right, bye-bye. See you later. What?
yep.
What, Bernie? Are you you're just whispering. You're not really actually yelling it out to us.
Thank you. Exactly. The reason why I wanted to talk about this story is to not like give you hope about Bernie again. The reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I wanted you to hear this from us, because you are going to hear other commentators who are still simping for Bernie Sanders. They are going to see this as a big win. And we don't think this is a win. Like, okay, yes, that's a step. But again, he's not going all in. You have to go all in. It means more to people when you come and talk to them in person than writing this letter. And I know he can do it because he was in Indiana holding a rally there and he was talking to people there. So that's really important. And that's things that people got to understand. This is why people don't have connections with like politicians. We don't feel like we're connected with them. We don't feel like you're not in the community. We don't see you half the time. So this is really important. You have to go and talk to the people. Writing this opinion piece is just like, okay, whatever's, but it means more when you actually come and talk to people.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's like, okay, it's like somebody stepping on your foot, and you're going, no, please stop, get off my foot, don't do that. Does that actually make an effect? Does that actually mean that people can hear you? If somebody's chasing me, do I go, help, please, help? This person's chasing me. Does that actually make an effect? Instead of help, please, somebody's trying to chase me. It's about the effect. You're not screaming loud enough,
Thank you.
which means that if you're not screaming it out from the mountaintops, that means you don't care as much. That's what it means. Because if you got somebody that's literally blocking legislation, one guy blocking legislation that would help the entire country, and you can go to his district and move things, and all you're going to do is Joe Manchin doesn't believe in helping out people, especially when it comes to the children and extending benefits for 50% of all children to take them out of poverty and blah, blah, blah. That's not going to do anything. But he knows this. He knows this. So the thing is that people need to wake up and realize that Bernie's also an establishment figure.
Yep.
He's been there so long that he's turned into an establishment figure.
It's doing enough to make it seem like you're really like fighting and making a difference, but not going the full distance.
Yeah, it's half-assed.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I'm not going to keep you guys much longer because Straight Outta Politics is coming on FHL in about 2 minutes. So I want you guys to definitely check that out. But JB, thanks so much for coming on. You guys, you'll see me and JB again tomorrow on FHL Roundtable. We'll be doing the thing. We'll be doing the thing. I'm getting a little fuzzy. Guys, yes, I am getting a new router because we realized that that is the problem. So I am getting a little fuzzy. So it's time for me to head out. So you know how we do this? Have a good night. Keep up the fight.